Welcome to Budgeting Class 2.
Right, example 1. Let's go through the questions. The XYZ company produced 3 products, X, Y, and Z. For the coming accounting period, budgets are to be prepared using the following information. So we have a budgeted sales, product X, product Y, and product Z. Product X supposed to produce at 2,000 units, Y 4,000 units, and Z 3,000 units. And these products will be sold at 100 each, 150 each, and 150 each. Okay, so this is all information about our sales. And the second box is the standard usage of raw materials. In order to produce product X, Y, and Z, each unit requires this much of woods and varnish. We can imagine something like furniture. Okay, let's say product X. In order to produce product X, we require 5 kilograms of wood and 2 liters of varnish. In order to produce product Y, we require 3 kilograms of wood and 2 liters of varnish. And for product Z, we require 2 kilograms of wood and 1 liter of varnish. Okay, so wood and varnish have a standard cost when we require it into production. To use it in production, we have to pay the cost. And the cost of wood per each kilogram is Rm 8 ringgit. The cost for varnish per each liters of varnish is Rm 4 ringgit. Next information. Inventories of finished goods. So, the opening inventories of finished goods, when we call it as finished goods, it means the product already completed. The product is finished and ready to be sold to customer. So the opening inventory of finished good is 500 units, 800 units, and 700 units. Opening stock or opening inventories means when we are in a new year, we open book, we already have a last year stock in our warehouse. So these are we call as opening inventories. So product X, 500 units, product Y, 800 units, product Z, 700 units. This means, for example, let's say we open account at 1st January 2020. On 1st January 2020, in our warehouse, we already have product X, product Y, and product Z at 500 units, 800 units, and 700 units. Okay, so another information is closing inventories. Let's say we start at 1st January, we close at 31st December 2020. So when we close our account 31st December 2020, let's say we have to calculate how much our product or finished goods left in our warehouse. So product X has 600 units, Y 1000 units, and Z 800 units. Next is inventories of raw materials. We not only have inventories of our product, our finished product in our warehouse, but we also have a raw materials needed in order to produce our product. For example, in this question, we required wood as a raw material and varnish. So, Opening inventory of wood is 21 kilogram of wood and 10,000 varnish. This means if you open account at 1st January, we have in our store 21 kilogram wood and 10,000 liters of varnish. And when we close account, we have 18,000 kilogram wood and 9,000 liters of varnish. Okay, and the last information given to us is about labor. So labor refers to a personnel or worker who work in our factory. So usually labor cost of the labor is based on labor hours. So this question here provide information that product X, Y, and Z required different hours of labor hour. For example, product X, in order to produce product X, direct labor hour required is 4 hours. For product Y, 6 hours. And for product Z, 8 hours. And each hour being charged at 3 ringgit per hour. So look at the requirement here. We have to prepare these 5 types of budgets. Start with sales budget, quantity and value. Okay. When the question asks about sales budget, quantity and value, it means that how many units of product X, Y, and Z we have to sell and how much is our budgeted total sales. Okay. So this is the table in yellow is extract from the question, and table which have a header of green is the answer. So it's actually a direct question. How many units product X, Y, and Z we have to sell? It is stated in the question 2,000, 4,000, and 3,000. So we just put inside the table. And we have to time with each price, 100, 130, and 150. So the total sales budget is for product X is 200,000 ringgit. For product Y is 520,000 ringgit, and for product Z is 450,000 ringgit. Question number 2. Prepare production budget. So the question is actually asked how many units of product X, Y, and Z we have to produce. From the word production, right? It's from word produce. So we will have to look at this information. We have the please bear in mind that we already have a opening finished goods. Means in our store we already have several products. In the end of the year also, we will have to maintain 600 of product X, 1000 of product Y, and 800 of product Z. Okay, so from this we have to ask ourselves how many units we have to produce more for this year or for this period. So we have to put in the information in this table. Remember, when we learn in topic 6, marginal costing, absorption costing, when we deal with opening and how to calculate a closing stock, the formula is opening plus production minus units sold will get closing stock. So we just fill in the opening as per information given. We just fill in the closing as per information given as well. And the units sold is from the first table, 2,000, 4,000, and 3,000. Now we have to calculate how much is the production units needed. This is in terms of units. So basically 500 plus how much we have to produce minus units sold, we will get 600. So the answer is 2100. The answer is 4200 for product Y and 3100 for product Z. So that is production budget units. Next, third question. How much is our material usage budget in terms of quantity? When the question asks about material usage, it refers to raw materials. So the question is actually you have to ask yourself how many units of woods and varnish to be used in production. How many units and how many liters? Okay, so from the question, you can see in yellow table there, extracted from the question. Standard usage of raw material given per 1 unit of product is as follows here. So we put in based on product X, product Y, product Z. For product X, we require 5 units, 5 kilogram of wood and 2 liters of varnish. Y, we follow the table as well, and Z as follows. Okay, so since we already know how many units of production from the previous question B, so we have to identify how much is the total materials needed. So 2100 units of product material, product X, you have to times with 5 kilogram of wood, you will get 10,500 kilogram total wood needed. And 2100 units of product X, you have to times with 2 liters of varnish. It sums up to 4,200 liters of varnish total for product X. You will do the same for product Y and you'll do the same for product Z. And lastly, you have to sum up all the total woods needed by product X, Y, and Z and sum up all the total varnish needed for product X, Y, and Z. So the answer will be 29,300 kilogram of woods needed to produce 2,100 units of X, 4,200 units of Y, and 3,100 units of Z, and 15,700 liters of varnish to produce all these products. Next question. Material purchases budget. So in this question, you have to ask yourself how many kilograms of wood and liters of varnish to be purchased. So we need how much actually in our production. So from the information in the question, we have been provided with the inventories of raw materials, opening and closing. Of course, in the last question, we already know how much we need to use in order to produce the product. However, in this question, how much we have to purchase more? So, we use the same information here. We use almost similar cycles. Opening, we have to purchase more of raw materials and we have to use part of it in the production. So equal to closing of raw materials. So opening we already have from table. Closing also we already have from table. And from question C, we already know how much we need for production. So we reverse the calculation. We have to identify how much raw materials should be purchased. So it's supposed to be 21,000 plus the new purchases minus amount used in the production. Then the remaining will be closing stock of raw materials. So from this example, from this table, we can identify there is 26,300 units, kilograms of wood needed to purchase, and 14,700 liters of varnish have to be purchased. And in order to calculate in value, you have to times back with the cost. So wood 8 ringgit and varnish is 4 ringgit. You times with the number, you'll get wood RM 210,400 and varnish 58,800 ringgit. That is the answer for material purchases budget in terms of quantity and in terms of value. Next question. How much is the labor budget? Hours and value. So the question that is you must ask yourself is how many labor hours needed for production and how much is the direct labor cost. So labor hours per unit is given as per yellow table here, 4 and 8 for each unit. Remember, X is produced at 2,100 units, Y 4,200 units, and Z 3,100 units. And this information we get it from question B. So how much is the total labor hour? The units you have to times with the hours. You get 8,400 hours to produce total product X, 25,200 hours to produce total product Y, and 24,800 hours to produce total product Z. And since the labor hours is charged at RM 3 ringgit per hour, so the hours, labor hours here, we have to times with 3 ringgit. And we'll sum up to RM 25,200, 75,600, and 74,400. So in order to the total of the cost labor hour, you have to times these three numbers. Okay, so that's all for example 1 completed. Now, let's look at example 2. Example 2 require us to prepare actual budget and budgeted. Okay? Actual budget, flex budget for actual activity, and the variance between actual and flex budget. Okay, so example 2, let's go through the question. A company has prepared the following fixed budget for coming year. So this is our sales, 10,000 units. This is the production, 10,000 units. And this is the cost. Budgeted selling price is 10 ringgit per unit. Okay, next information given to us is actual. So in actual, we sell it at 12,000 units at this cost. So the actual sales is 122,000 units. So first question asks us to prepare flex budget for actual activity. So, right, actual income statement, we follow the marginal costing format because of the requirement B requests us to do so. So sales is 122,000. We just plug from the question. Direct materials 60,000, direct labor 28,500, variable overhead is 15,000. These three costs we minus from the sales. We get contribution margin of 18,500, and we minus fixed overhead 11,000. Arrive at operating profit 7,500. So this in this question, the difficulties, there is no difficulties actually. You just have to know the format. just plug the numbers and put it in the format. For question B, the question asks us to prepare variance analysis. Okay, when you see the word variance here, it means that you have to compare between budget and actual. So for now, this you can see in the table here, the actual here is actually the calculation that we already calculate in earlier section, 7,500 profit. 7,500 profit. Okay, we put it in one line, and for budgeted also, we times 10,000 units times 10 ringgit selling price budget 100,000. Direct material labor variable overhead, we just plug the number from question and put it inside here. Arrive at contribution margin 12,500 minus fixed overhead 10,000. All of this information from question. Then you arrive at operating profit 2,500. So now we will do variance. Variance means you have to take budget and actual. Look at differences of each line by line. So you put side by side, budgeted first and actual, you will minus. And you will see what will be the difference between each. Okay. The next part, after we know the difference of each, we have to identify whether it is favorable or not. Okay, so we look at the first line here, sales. Budgeted is 100,000 sales, but in actual, it is 122,000 sales. So the variance, the difference is 22,000, which is favorable. Why is it favorable? Actual is higher than what we budget. So we're talking about sales. When the income is higher than the budgeted, it is good. It is happy. It is very favorable. Okay. Next, direct material cost, direct labor cost, and variable overhead costs. We minus line by line. We'll get the total cost differences is 6,000. Sorry, not 6,000. It is 10,000, 3,500, and 2,500 difference. So why is it unfavorable? Because we are talking about cost. Cost of budgeted is lower than actual. So it is unfavorable. Because in reality, we must keep our cost as low as possible. Especially when we compare with budget, it should be lower or same as what we budgeted. Okay, so it is unfavorable. Okay, fixed overhead costs will be same description or same explanation as cost of sale just now. Operating profit, when we look at profit, we want it higher. So you look at the number here, actual is 7,500, but we budget only 2,500. So we have a difference of 5,000 ringgit of profits higher than what we budget. So it is really highly favorable. Okay, so that is how to answer part B in example 2. Complete example 2. Next, this is a recap. Format for cash budget. Unfortunately, in exam, format for cash budget will not be given. So, the most important is you must have a title. You must have a receipt, how much, payment, how much, balance BD, balance CD. Some of you prefer to do balance BD on top and balance CD on at the below part. Okay, so it is acceptable. Let's look at example 3. You are presented with the following flow forecasted data for your organization for the period November 2019 to March 2020. It has been extracted from functional flow forecasts that have already been prepared. Okay. So we have sales, we have purchases, we have wages, and we have overhead. From here, sales only is cash inflow, the rest all cash outflow. This is based on different period. Sales, okay, let's look at here. Sales are 4% cash and 60% credit. Credit sales are paid 2 months after month of sale. Purchases are paid the month following purchase. Means purchases on November, we pay on December. 75% of wages are paid in the current month of 25% of the following month, and overhead are paid the month after they are incurred. The opening balance in 15,000. Okay. So I would like you to try first, put it in format, use your logic. Okay. If you have any question, any sentence that you don't understand, feel free to ask in the chat here. Alright, so I leave this question for you. Try to do it right now and we will discuss. I will give the answer and explanation through my video. Bye.